Hello everybody. You've tuned in to Opinions and Thoughts about the ones who live, the Walking Dead spinoff with your main protagonist, Rick Grimes. It's grime time, baby. Grime time. If you're familiar with the series and all four episodes, or maybe just even the first three, you'll know that his lover, companion, Michonne, has finally found Rick Grimes. But has she found Rick Grimes? Is it the Rick Grimes that she knows? Doesn't seem that way, does it? Well, this video is episode 4. I'm going to give my episode breakdown and then I'll give my initial opinions and thoughts about the episodes and probably just a tad bit of speculation moving forward with episode 5. Just speculation right now. There are released images of episode 5, but they don't give too much away. They basically, shine down on our main protagonists, Michonne and Rick. They don't really give that much away. It's still speculation until Sunday night or early Sunday morning on AMC Plus, whichever one floats your boat, tickles your pickle, however you like it. The episode breakdown starts with a little music, little music and a scene from a nice looking apartment, and it zooms in on a radio that's lit up, playing some good classic tunes. But it also flashes to them sitting in the helicopter, Rick and Michonne, like the end of the last episode, right before she slung open the door and said, "We need a timeout." Because, they've had heated conversations and, the Rick Grimes that she's sitting across from is not the Rick Grimes that she knew back in the day. The CRM has really took a toll on him. It's really done a number on his brain. He is, how can I say, lost. It needs to be found and brought back to reality, back to his former self. And that's pretty much where we go from here. She slings open the door, grabs a hold of Rick, says we need a timeout. Boom. And next thing you know, there they go. Flying out of the helicopter, landing in nothing but water beneath. Thank God, because if it was something else, there would be no more series. They would be dead or zombies by now. But yeah, so it shows that them hitting the water. It shows Rick's hand rising up out of the water and grabbing hold of a cliff or some kind of rocky area, lifting himself up. The next thing you know, it's got these flash images, of a chandelier, them seeking shelter, basically, wherever they seek shelter at, which comes to be a nice little condo high rise somewhere. I mean, these apartments are in immaculate shape. They got running water, they've got robot vacuums running across the floor. I mean, this place is well taken care of. And, there are walkers around or whatever, but they're all, in a different area and can't get through to the apartment areas. So they seek shelter, end up in this apartment, and she gets to start with her interrogation on Rick. It's like, basically, I don't like the way you've been talking to me. You ain't you. When you're with the CRM, you're a different person. You know, she basically, how a typical baby mama would do. They have their little lovers quarrel. So, and he expresses to her, because she thinks that that he don't love her no more, and he never stopped loving her. He never stopped trying to get home. It's just that the CRM really did a number on him mentally. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't type of deal, and that's what he was trying to break down. Because when he had the conversation with Jadis, she knows where Alexandria is at. She knows, pretty much where the hilltop's at. But what she doesn't know is that Alexandria and the hilltop have pretty much been destroyed. She knows nothing about all of them being relocated to what they call the Commonwealth, which is a big city, barricaded in by brick walls and gates and stuff. She doesn't know anything about that because she hasn't been around. Rick hasn't been around. Hell, Michonne hasn't been around. So they know nothing about that. Michonne still thinks everybody's being camped up in Alexandria. No, nobody's there. Everybody's at the Commonwealth, safe and secure. And if she knew all this, you know, it wouldn't be a problem because then Rick would understand that Jadis doesn't know where that place is at. But then again, how long would it take for her to figure it out, right? They got choppers, they got military jeeps, they got weaponry out the rear end. We're talking about a freaking army here. Probably tanks too. I mean, it wouldn't take much to come through. So, like I said, they fight back and forth, arguing or whatever. She slips up and says the word children, and it shocks Rick. It's like, you said children. He only knows of Judith, you know. But she finally breaks down and tells him that you have a son. His name is Rick. We call him RJ. He's about 8 years old at this point. And so that kind of gets in Rick's head, but we want to get down to the basics of what has happened to Rick. Why is he acting the way he's acting? Which he explains over and over. He's doing that to keep them safe back home. Technically, like Michonne book keeps busting him out. That's a lie. That's a lie. You want to come home, but you're scared. And that's pretty much what it is. It's fear. It's the fear of something happens once he gets there. And the only way I see to conquer fear is whatever you're fearing, you gotta face your fears, right? And his fear is Jadis because she has threatened to do that. And the only way to get past that is I'll go ahead and tell you, sorry, Jadis, you gotta go. You're gonna have to die regardless. But we've been introduced to General Bill. We don't know what he knows because he hasn't really been in the show that much. Just maybe a couple scenes, and he hasn't really explained anything. So we don't know really what they know. But I'm sure in these last two episodes we're gonna figure it out real quick what's going on. It was stated in I think the last episode that most of the big major players in the CRM, they're all going to be located at this place called the Summit, and if you want to do anything and try to control this army, you're going to have to eliminate some major players. Now, is that the way the series is going to go? Possibly. But I can't see two people, just Rick and Michonne, even though they are powerful together. They are a threat. They're a force to be reckoned with. But not two people is going to go in there in front of a whole army and just clean house. It's not happening. You're going to have some people backing you. It's good. You're basically going to have an army versus an army. That's typical with any kind of war, with any kind of fight. You're going to have the numbers. And right now, Rick and Michonne don't have the numbers. They've got each other, but they don't have the numbers. So they're going to have to stop, think, strategize, get a plan going, make sure it's foolproof, and then execute. That way, when they do that and the war breaks out, they can possibly cause a beautiful diversion for their escape, make it look like they're actually dead. I mean, to the T, to where people would be like, yeah, that was really them. and just, do the Great Escape. Because that's what this show is about. It's about the Great Escape. Will Rick Grimes make it home? And now that Michonne is present, will they both make it home, or will just one of them make it home? That's purely speculation. But like I said, they argued with the little lovers' quarrel, have their emotional moment. I'm not going to get into too much, you know. They kind of, a little passion. I'll just say it like that. Have a little passion together. And hell, to me, I guess that's all it took was a little love. Got to show Rick some love. Give him a little love, and then boom, he's right back to, I'm Rick Grimes. Yeah, I know who I am. But the part that I really liked is when she asked him, "What did they do to you? You know, what did they take from you?" Because he keeps saying they took something from me. Well, what did they take from me? And of course, they took Carl away from him because Carl was all in his memories. Every time that he went to sleep and he dreamed of Carl. And there for a while, he said he was also dreaming of Michonne too, but then she would fade away also as time goes on. So basically, the images of the ones he really cared for, his family or whatever, they disappeared. So it pretty much broke him down. It made him give in. It made him vulnerable. It's either get with the program or pretty much die. So it's that's pretty much the way it was. Well, she finally gets him back to reality. They have conjured up a plan that they're going to get out of there. They get in a heated discussion. She leaves. He follows. They notice that the chopper they was in has crashed through a window in the building across from them. So Michonne basically looks at Rick and says, "Hey, that's our chopper. We were in that chopper. They'll think we're dead." And the whole time Rick's wanting the beacon. He's wanting to push the button on the beacon to tell the CRM where they're at because, he's dedicated to the point that, hey, they have to go back. They have to go back. Well, she finally, breaks the mold on him and the beacon gets crushed or whatever as the building starts to collapse. As you notice, if you see the episode, the building starts to collapse. They got to think of something quick, and then they make their way out. Coming across walkers in the stairwell, Michonne gets caught by a chandelier. It falls down, traps her legs. She's stuck. Rick has to go psycho mode and destroy a bunch of walkers coming towards her while he's trying to lift the chandelier up to free her leg. "Hey, Kate, what's up?" And to free Michonne, so he takes out a gangload of walkers in classic Rick Grimes fashion. We know how he gets down. Once Rick goes ape shit, it's kind of like Morgan. All I see is red. That was Morgan's deal. All he sees is red, and he just goes ape shit. Not much. Oh, we're just sitting here talking about a little Rick Grimes and Michonne, Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, episode 4. Right now, I'm breaking down the episode as much as I can remember, which is a real good which is kind of an emotional episode because it focuses on the conversation with Rick and Michonne, basically. Your typical baby mama, baby daddy drama. I love that episode when he found Morgan. Oh, yeah. Hey, Kate, who's to say Morgan won't run into Rick on the way home? They're talking about it. They're speculating it. Morgan is looking for Rick. Since the end of Fear the Walking Dead, he got on the walkie-talkie just like Rick from season 1. Leaving little messages or whatever. What's to say him and Rick don't reunite. Yeah, that would be. I'd like to see that now that Morgan is the way he is now. He's finally come to his senses on things, and he's not so out there. But I'm really waiting on. This is the one I'm waiting on, and I hope they give it to us. Scott Gimple, please give it to us. The reunion between Rick and Daryl. It needs to happen. From my point of view, that needs to happen because Daryl still thinks Rick is dead. He hasn't seen any proof that he's possibly alive or anything, because Daryl's over in France kicking zombie ass over there, Yeah, that would probably be the most. If there's anything emotional out of the whole Walking Dead series, it's got to be the reunite with Rick and Daryl. I mean, them two are practically brothers. They've had their fights together, their disagreements. I mean, it's their family, But these two are like brothers, They've had each other's back. They might not have liked what each other did, make some choices. Everybody makes bad choices. Hell, trust me, Rick's made a lot of bad choices, but sometimes it's like that. Hey, Truth, what's up? Says, hey Jay, I don't have anything to add to this conversation, but I thought I'd stop by and say hi. Yeah, I'm on a. Well, thanks for stopping in and listening to me rant about a TV show. Trying to keep the content fresh, And this is something I could really, get down and talk about because I really like the show. Been watching it since day one. I'm a day oneer. And I really like where they're going with this spinoff. So, back to the breakdown of the episode. They finally get out of the building. Make their way out. They make their way to the street. They turn around and the building collapses. They find a truck. Got plenty of well, it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid truck, so you got plenty of whatever in the back seat because Rick turns around in the back seat and says, well, we got plenty of this. I can't remember what it's called, but I love the Dead. Well, I was a day one. That's right. The Walking Dead that's good TV. That's good TV right now. And that's basically my week consists of the new Walking Dead episode. I like Chicago PD. Yeah, I like my SVU on Thursdays. Yeah, wrestling, on Mondays and Fridays and stuff like that. I don't really watch a lot of TV, but there are certain shows that I really like to keep up with. And Walking Dead is one I haven't missed an episode. Even the weakest episodes, I sit through it. I've seen it all. I have seen it all. We finally end the episode with Rick and Michonne driving off into the sunset, they would say. But as the producer of the show, Scott Gimple, said, we could have ended it right there with the happy, ha ha ha, they're headed back home. Yeah. But this is The Walking Dead. Nothing ever ends happy. Come on. Too easy, too quick. And I'm glad they didn't because that would have kind of ruined it. But like, well, that was too easy. No. We can't have it like that. I hope they see how much it's like. I want more. I hope so too, because as fast as this spinoff is going, if they end it after the 6th episode and don't talk about it anymore, say, hey, that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We did what we had to do. And we don't see Rick walking up to Alexandria gates, or at least, are going to the communities, seeing that Alexandria pretty much has been destroyed. There's nobody there. Hilltop has been destroyed because Rick has no idea of what has been going on. He don't know anything about the Whispers. He doesn't know anything about anything about Negan. Carol's deal with Negan. Go join. I want Alpha's head, but he don't know none of that. He's been gone for 10 years. A lot of shit's happened. Everybody's at the Commonwealth, a place that he knows absolutely nothing about. At least I want to, yeah, if we can't get that, but I don't see them. I see there possibly is a season 2 out of this. At least maybe a few more episodes, maybe at least 3 or 4 to kind of sum it all up. Because we know Jadis is going to bite the dust. I'm sorry, crank up the Queen, another one bites the dust. Yeah, you got to go. Yeah, that's true. Some of the ones we lost. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would, and another thing I would like to see, even though the hilltop has been destroyed and stuff like that, I would like to see Rick, if they would do a scene like on the way to the Commonwealth where he stops at the hilltop and visits Glenn, Abraham, Carl, and all of them. Goes to the graves. Pays his respects or whatever. It's been a long time. I'd love to see that. That would be that's almost a tearjerker. That would be a tearjerker spot right there. I almost wonder if Jadis can terrorize Daryl. Daryl don't scare. You got to remember. If we're talking about Daryl, this man is backwoods, country, redneck. Negan almost had him broke. I mean, the way Negan did him with playing the song over and over and over. Negan had that man to the point he was probably going to blow his brains out. But Daryl was determined to get out of there, and Daryl's a tough cookie to break. Oh yeah, hey, there are some emotional scenes. Oh yeah, Easy Street. Yeah, that and the one that made him cry. What was that? Roy Orbison. That last song he played. When he finally broke him. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, when he finally just gave in. But you got to remember, Daryl has been captured quite a few times. He's been tortured and everything. Kind of like Negan said. You gotta have some of that, because we gotta look at it. Daryl jumped up and busted him right in the mouth. I'm going to say this, and I don't know how many of Walking Dead fans will agree with me, but I think in the TV show, if Daryl wouldn't have jumped up and punched Negan in the jaw, Glenn would still be alive. I guarantee it. I think he had his eyes set on Abraham, if you would have noticed, because Abraham kind of bucked up to him while he was on his knees, and because Abraham had, just didn't give a shit. He was, all right, whatever. You ain't shit. Yeah, Beth was another bad death. Yeah, because that killed me when Daryl was carrying her out of the, what was it, hospital? First you see Maggie's all smiles and this and that. Next thing you know, they just broke down. Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, that was bad. And I like the chemistry that Daryl and Beth had. Dude, there was a point I thought I said, Daryl, you're going to end up getting with Beth because that's kind of, they had that chemistry going. Either a relationship kind of chemistry, or how can I say, or like a brother and sister kind of chemistry. I was leaning more toward relationship, but and the reason why I understand the reason why Carol likes Daryl so much, and stuff like that, because you got to look at it. Carol and Daryl come from abusive past. Daryl's daddy used to beat on him and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure Merle did too with his stupid stuff, and messed him up mentally and stuff like that. But yeah, Daryl's daddy beat on him And then you got to look at Carol. She had an abusive husband. He was probably beating the brake pads off of her every time she opened her mouth. I agree, but I think Negan killed him partially to put fear in. Yeah, yeah, because that was Negan's thing. That was Negan's thing. It was to make an example. But you got to look at it. You got. I would have liked to have seen Daryl and Beth. Oh yeah, me too. Me too. But you gotta remember, Kate. Rick was kind of. I can say he kind of put himself in that position. Well, I understand that you sooner or later would have to fight the saviors. You sooner or later. But what Rick should have done is he should have done his homework to see how many people Negan actually had. You know, try scope it out. If he would have just asked Jesus, Jesus probably could have found out real quick, because Jesus was like a ninja. That man could, he was everywhere and not be seen or nothing. Jesus was the man. Look what he did to Dwight. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Dwight actually turned out to be a good character, Kate. To be honest with you, even though he went to fear, but Dwight actually turned out to be halfway decent. I didn't hate on him for real. I understood what he'd been put through. Yeah, that Jesus man was bad. It was bad. Yeah, the whispers. Yeah, because you got to remember they didn't know anything about the whispers, and it was insane. Yeah, Jesus was the man, and I'm glad that Dwight found Sherry. And they kind of rekindled their deal and stuff like that. hmm And I liked a lot of characters from Fear too. You know, there was a couple. I like Daniel. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did like Strand, even though there was times I couldn't stand the sucker, because that's just how Strand was. He was out for self. But sometimes I did understand Strand's points, and I really like Daniel because Daniel didn't take no shit. I wasn't much on Madison for real. I think they should have pretty much left her dead for real. Alicia was good, uh, and there were some others. I can't remember all their names, but yeah, Strand was okay. Strand was one of those kind of like Negan. You love him one minute, you hate him the next. You had that love hate relationship with him. One minute you're like, oh man, I love where this is going. The next minute you're like, screw this guy. And that's the way I am with Negan. Negan was the classic big villain. He was the major villain of the Walking Dead series. He was worse than the Governor. The Governor was a walk through Disneyland compared to Negan. But Alpha was right up there. That was some pretty sick stuff that they go on. But they were so mentally screwed in the head. It's just they were brainwashed to believe something that wasn't. They'd been out there too long. Kind of like Rick. Kind of like they said about Rick and the gang. If they would have stayed out there any longer, they would have lost it. They would have just went monkey out there. But yeah, it's insane. I liked Glenn. I knew that sooner or later they would probably do Glenn in. Trying to keep it comic book accurate. Yeah, but Glenn was a great character. Uh, Negan is also. I'm glad they gave us his back. Yeah, that episode with Jeffrey Dean Morgan and his wife in real life. Uh, yeah, you understood. Even Negan was a smartass. He was an asshole, but he did love Lucille, even though he was out doing his dirt. You know, sometimes you don't realize what you have until something big hits. And I think that's where it went. Yeah, he was out doing his dirt, doing his cheating or whatever. But but when you finally come to real, Finally come to realization when something big happens, you know, it screws with you. And I think like I said, when he lost Lucille, he just it's like a light switch. He just flipped. It's like, yeah, she died. Yeah, but it was a crazy episode. Him sitting at the end of the bed while she's over there trying to grab him with the bag over her face, where she had smothered herself while he was gone, trying to get the medicine for her. You know, but he ended up in a pickle getting it. Yeah, he tried so hard, and it really tore him apart. It did. It just ripped him in half. And I think, like I said, I think it was like a light switch. It's like, screw it, because when he finally had that guy, tied to the chair, he finally brought that Negan out, that we all has seen, you know. When that guy said, "You talk too much," he said, "Well, you better hope I don't stop talking." Ain't that the truth? Negan had a sense of humor, and I believe in a period in time like that, you know, that you would need something like that. You could, I mean, yeah, you could be serious, but it could be serious all the time. You got to have your, he had that sense of humor. Yeah, it made him better. Yeah, absolutely. And the way he had people following him. I'm glad you brought that up, Kate, about making him better. Let me describe something to you. I think now, correct me if I'm wrong, but tell me this: is the reason why Negan and Rick, got to where they hated each other so much is because they were so much alike in ways. If you actually sit back and watch the show, Negan and Rick was kind of one of the same. If you look at it, I think that really uh, it's almost like I'm fighting myself. Yeah, Negan and Rick were pretty much one of the same. They was the same type of person, and they always say uh, especially if you argue with somebody or you're constantly bickering with somebody or something like that, that you're too much alike. It's almost like you're arguing with yourself, and that's pretty much what it was. They just had different end games. Absolutely. Yep. But like Negan told Father Gabriel, he basically showed him. He's like, look, I'm just putting on an act. It's pretty much what he was telling them. They just they follow me. It's a control thing or something. Yeah, like Ezekiel said, you got to fake it till you make it. Ezekiel was putting on a hell of an act. That was so full of crap. But the only way they feared him is because he had the great big old tiger. Come on now. Yeah, King Ezekiel, he come around in the long run. I like Zeke. But my favorite character out of the kingdom was Jerry. Big Jerry. Love Jerry. That man was comedy all the way. He didn't give a damn. Yeah, Big Jerry was awesome. And I liked Aaron. Uh, uh, like when his boyfriend died because Aaron was gay. He cried when the tiger died. Yeah, Shiva. Yeah, it was sad. Hey, but she sacrificed herself for Zeke. Because Ezekiel had taken care of her ever since the zoo fell apart, and she, yeah, love Jerry. I'm good. Oh yeah, Jerry's amazing. He's a great character. He'll give you a good laugh when you need it. Hmm. That's like I say, if I've always had a sense of humor and something like that actually did happen, I mean, I would keep my sense of humor. Yeah, the situation would tear me apart. losing people and stuff like that, and having to do what I had to do. But there would always be some kind of there'd always be a time for a joke or a smile or something like that. But because people are who they are. That's just who they are. I kind of hope that they wouldn't have killed Carl off, but you know, in order to make the show different, you got to make different moves, and that's just how it goes. Now, I don't know what to think about Maggie. I don't know. I don't. She's too busy holding a grudge. Yeah, shit happened. I understand. Negan was the way he was, but you got to look at it. He has redeemed himself. He's not the way he was. Yeah, he has little outspurts or whatever, but in order to get control of a situation, he has to resort back to that old Negan ways because that's what gets the attention and gets the job done. Yeah, I mean, but other than that, he doesn't like doing it. But Negan is smart. He calls bullshit pretty good. That's what really affected Carol. She never wanted to kill. That's right. Yeah, she never wanted to kill. But Carol is a American badass in this movie. She's wiping out groups of people by herself. She didn't want to kill, but she's freaking Rambo through there. I think she's doing better with him now. I think she can appreciate. Oh yeah, yeah. I like the season with him and Maggie. Oh yeah. Are you talking about Dead City? Yeah. I mean, they got to learn to put, things was what they was then, but they're not that way now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I was just making sure. And Negan tried his hardest, to sit down and talk to her. Him and Maggie had conversations. Was basically to the point. She'd ask questions, he'd straight up answer. I mean, what more could he say? He had people too. He was trying to feed his people. He had to do what he had to do to survive, just as well as Rick did what he had to do to survive, and as well as any of them had to do what they had to do to survive. I mean, everybody had different ways of doing things. You can't all do the same shit. But the only thing I can say, and I'll say it now, and I'll get on my knees and put my hands together. Lord, let Rick Grimes make it back home. That's what we want to see. We want to see some reuniting, him and Carol, especially him and Daryl, and whoever is still alive at the Commonwealth. Even some of the new characters like Mercer and Princess and stuff like that. Introduce them to the man, the man, the myth, the legend, Rick Grimes, you know, and of course the reunite with him and his new son, RJ, little Rick, and of course Judith. That I'll be honest with you, I'll probably cry. I will. I'll probably cry. Rick doesn't even know about RJ. He does now. He does now because Michonne has told him about RJ. He hasn't seen him, but he does know about him now. If you haven't seen the new episode, once you watch it, she lets it slip. She lets it slip, and she explains. And yeah. So yeah, that's in the new episode. That's episode 4. Yeah, episode 4. Yeah, because like I said, they have a real heated conversation. And you're gonna like it. It's an emotional episode. Like I said, because she does ask him, try to figure out why he is acting the way he's acting, because like he explains, And I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to give it away, even though I did earlier in the video. But hell, I'm going to let you go check it out yourself. Just me explaining it is not going to be as good as you actually watching it and getting, more. Because I'm only doing bits and pieces and parts. You'll get the full experience and you'll understand. But as far as from what I've seen of episode 5, looks like we're headed back to the woods, folks. Classic Walking Dead style. Rick and Michonne walking through the woods. Rick looking like he did back in the day. Like, see what, season 5, Rick, or season 4, Got the beard coming back in, got the long hair coming back. We're headed back to familiar territory, but there's going to be issues. You can guarantee that. And that's pretty much my speculation, my opinions, and my thoughts on The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, episode 4. It's an emotional roller coaster. It's good acting. And I really like the show. This series right here has been top notch Walking Dead so far. As far as character driven, we waited to see Andrew Lincoln reprise his role as Rick Grimes. We've been waiting since pandemic, and we finally got it, and it's good stuff. It's good stuff. But that's all I can say about this. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's on AMC Plus right now for all your heart's content. And I'm sure it's on whatever cable on-demand thing you got. And tune in Sunday for episode 5, because we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. We're getting down to some ass kicking, and somebody's got to die, and there will be blood. And we'll get to see if he finally makes it home, or they just give us a nice little cliffhanger, just enough to piss us off for the rest of the year. So we go out here and cause havoc in the streets because there's nothing on TV. And maybe they'll hit us in a day or two and say, hey, The Ones Who Live got renewed for a season 2. Are you ready? Well, we can only hope. But then again, if you want to finish the story, do it the right way and give us what we want. Other than that, I'll see you guys on episode 5. Breakdown, opinions, and thoughts. I'll tell you what. Instead of doing just a single, I'm going to wait until the final 2 episodes play out, and we're going to break it all down, all the way to the end. I think that would be a good way to do it. That way we get more content, and we can really break it down and speculate and do that. So I'll see you guys again when the next 2 episodes are finished and we get our final result. Until then, go watch The Walking Dead. What else you got to do? All right, I'll holler at you.